Hello, welcome to Kenty Prime Time. Paul Kent here once again. And joining me today, John Elias and the one and only Tim Brasher. Brash, thanks for coming along.
Kenny, no problem, mate. Johnny, good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Timmy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we
I
got
knew
you
you
along.
wouldn't say no.
We got you along, Brash. It's State of Origin time. You came through, fair to say, probably a golden era for New South Wales playing Origin. That early '90s era. You were part of that. The Phil Gould era. You want to talk us through a little bit of that? We'll get to that later, actually. What we wanted to ask you about is the current sides, New South Wales, Queensland. You've had a look at the two lineups. How are you looking at that?
Well, I like the New South Wales team. We actually had the function, the True Blues function last night, and got to see all the old mates and the guys I used to idolise as a kid.
Yeah. But
also got to see the new team, and I like what they've picked.
Yeah.
They've stuck true with a few players. They've brought a couple in. There's a little injury problem, I suppose, with Payne Haas possibly, but the doc tells me he's okay. But I just like what they started last year with Madge, and Laurie's not going to change everything, but he's going to put his own stamp on it, like he did back in the day. And I just think they're a team that's willing to bond and work and play for each other, and you have to do that out there. In Origin, there's nowhere to hide. And I think this is a team that's going to look after each other and, make sure they rise to the occasion.
Tim, glad you're here, mate. You made your debut in 92, is that correct?
Origin, yes.
Yeah,
They decided 92.
Okay, the reason why I ask, Max King, he's making his debut next week. What do you think he's in for? What was it like for you in 92, making his debut?
Well, it was awesome, mate. To get named was amazing. For it to be a decider was crazy. I was picked on the bench. And
same as Max King.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I covered a few spots in the back line, so I didn't know where I was going to go on at. I could have gone on anywhere.
Yeah.
And in the end, Rob Wishart, somehow, the size of his legs, he blew a hammy at half time. So I got a full half. And in the end, that was probably my best half of all time. I just
wow.
And it's the thing is, you get chances in life, and I just took it with both hands. And all I can say to Kingy is like, you know what, trust that what got you there will get you further. And there's a reason he got picked.
Yeah.
Do what you've done to get there.
Yeah.
And just don't overthink it. And that's the hardest thing. And
that's good advice.
We talked about it last night. The hardest thing in Origin is not the week leading up; it's the day of.
Really?
That's a long day.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a hotel room. You go for a walk. What do? Like all you got to do is try and stop yourself from thinking too much about the game. Block it out. We used to always have the bus past Caxton Street, and that was my switch on. Because then all of a sudden, all the Queenslanders would rock the bus, throw beer cans at the bus. That was the little trigger that was like game on.
Interesting.
And you could see the lights of the stadium, and you knew that was it. So the rest of the day, I went and got a haircut. I know these days I don't need a haircut, but I went and got a haircut. I walked the city, just got the vibe of the people, as opposed to just sitting in my room and going, "Oh, I'm playing Origin," because you can overthink it.
You got to stop yourself burning out emotionally and mentally, don't you? Like that's you talk to a lot of people about their whole Origin experience, and that's always one thing that the guys that get their play and don't sometimes play well, particularly young, like early in their Origin careers. They always put it down to the fact that their preparation was poor, not so much physically, but mentally. They just couldn't get there.
Well, physically, you're right to play. In our day, we had the first 2 or 3 days of camp were pretty much fun, going out, enjoying ourselves, but bonding together. And you got to get to know players that you mightn't have played with before. You played against. They're legends.
Yeah,
you've got to become their friends. You've got to become their teammates. But then the rest of the camp is just learning what we're going to do, as in ball work, the kind of direction we're going to go. And the rest of it comes down to, your halves. We had Joey, Freddie, Sticky, Ricky Stewart, Laurie Daley. They pretty much run the show. Okay, so we just then play our game off them. And it's all about just getting combinations, getting a few calls in, and then getting out there and playing your game. But it was if I could run out in Origin again, I'd pay anything to do that. That feeling of running out, especially at Lang Park or Suncorp, magnificent.
Cooper Cronk says that a lot of players, ex-players, get asked about if they could go back and relive one moment, and players will say they'll name a grand final or an Origin game, and Cooper's slightly different. He said the moment that that pure moment for him was in the dressing room, the knock on the door from the linesman, the touch judge 5 minutes Queensland.
Yeah.
And he said that 5 minutes
Absolutely.
from that knock on the door to actually hitting the field, and which also covered walking down the tunnel.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine what that must be like.
Just running out. When you come down the tunnel, you pump, you come down, and then when you hit the field and just take off in that run out, the crowd, and the crowd just roars. It's seriously, all the hairs in the back of your neck. You can't beat it. It's the best feeling ever.
Unfortunately, Paul, you and I never had that luxury of playing Origin. So
We're
what a dream that would have been.
Yeah,
Tim,
it's good.
Origin's been going for over 40 years, since the 80s. The rules have changed, we know that, and the game plans have changed. But one thing that hasn't changed is the intensity. Now, what do you think Laurie Daley is going to focus on? Is he going to focus on the up here between the years? Is it going to be the bonding? I don't know. I'm curious to know.
Laurie's definitely is about getting the team to work for each other. The bottom line is out
so
there.
Bonding off the field.
It's a war out there, okay?
Yeah.
And it takes rugby league to the next level. It's like skipping, it's like playing under 19s and going straight to first grade.
Wow.
That jump is huge. The speed of the game, the intensity, the toughness, that's what changes in Origin. And you need the guys to be like this. You can't have one guy out here, one guy there.
Okay.
The team has to be one. So his job is to bring them together. He's got a bunch of guys that can all play football.
Of course.
But they've got to play together. And as you know, we've all played football here. If you play as a team, you will beat a team of individuals all day.
You touched on that earlier too. You talked about Laurie. He sort of built on what Michael Maguire brought in last year. There's been a lot of talk already about Terrell May, whether he should have been picked. Laurie stuck solid, and Laurie didn't put a knock on him because of what happened last week with what he said about maybe he should change allegiances. But what Laurie did is he stuck pretty much Mitch Barnett, who was there last year, Spencer Leniu, who was there last year. And while you can make a case, this is the fascination about. I can see you already turning your nose up.
Yeah.
No, because the funny thing is, though, John, this is it. So New South Wales has always been so spoilt for riches that they go, well, this guy's Terrell May's playing better than Max King at the moment, so I'm going to pick him. Or Terrell May's playing better than Mitch Barnett, so we'll pick him. Queensland never drift from their model. If you've done the job for them, they'll pick you again. Mitch Barnett did the job last year.
Yeah,
he deserves his spot here this year. And even though Terrell May, you look at his stats and you look at how well he's playing, 80 minutes on the weekend, 60 tackles, he had a magnificent game. It was enormous by front rower standards. Play 80 minutes. But for Laurie to stick solid, I think there's got to be a little bit of credence given to that.
Oh, Paul, no doubt. But the big shock one is Max King on the bench. And, hey, he knows more than us, Laurie Daley, and they're leading the comp.
Max King's an off the ball player too. Like he does a lot of work
1%
off the ball, helps his defenders, gets back, does all that sort of stuff that you're really looking for.
Absolutely.
No, well done, Tim.
And
well done.
You need a good mix, as you know, a mix of a whole bunch of players. And, if
Are you surprised, Brash, with Max King?
I'm not surprised about anything. And the good thing about it is every player in that team has earned their spot.
Correct.
And guaranteed, we've all got opinions. There could be a couple of different selections.
Of course.
But these guys have got the first chance, and it's up to them to take that and run with it. And, they're going to get Max is going to get a run out there.
I can't wait.
Hopefully,
I can't wait to see
has his A game, and then he cements his spot.
I'm sure he will.
And that's how it works.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You do look for. You got to have, the combinations and like different players. You got to have different looking players. You got to have different builds on players. You got to have players that do different things because every player provides the defense a puzzle. Okay, but if you're all 6'4", straight up and down ball runners, well, it's clearly. You've only got to have one method to attack each player. Whereas if you've got little nuggety blokes, you've got other blokes, you've got blokes who like to turn into tackles, you've got blokes who like to offload, you've got all these different scenarios.
Makes sense.
Well, then every guy's giving you something different. The defense something different that they have to focus on, which just adds to your threat against them.
Absolutely. You can't have all ball players because you need guys hitting holes as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The 1%ers, of course.
And same as in the fullback. You can't all be, the hard guy that just runs straight. You got some guys that need to have a little bit of footwork, a little bit of offload here and there. Yeah. Just to ask some questions to the defence.
What about Mitch Moses and Nathan Cleary in the halves?
I like it. I thought Mitch did fantastic last year. And I think getting his call up again and getting a second chance and taking it with both hands and played fantastically. Obviously, his team hasn't been great this year, but the last couple of weeks he's been showing that, He's still got it.
Yeah.
And I think them two together, I like it. And the kicking game, they've both got fantastic kicking games.
Yeah.
They're
Both sides of the ruck,
kickers,
you've got two kickers. It's hard to defend against.
What do you think?
I think I was tipping it weeks ago, Paul, but they're both right foot kickers, aren't they? So it's interesting, but who's going to be predominantly the first caller? It's going to be Cleary.
It's got to be Cleary. They've already nominated that.
Have they? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, and if Moses can take a step back and go, okay, that's fine. Well, I think it's great.
Well, he'll just play off.
But how dangerous is he going to be, left and right?
I think fantastic. I like the combination.
I do too.
What about Queensland? Already Queensland, and you're going to love this. Already Queensland is sitting there and they're talking about their underdogs again.
No.
There's a virus in the camp, Paul.
Oh, of course.
You know
there's
that?
always a virus.
Paul, yeah, it was in the papers today.
That's just
Ponga had to be carted off the field. Please.
They're just taking the mickey now.
I know.
They play that card every year.
Yeah, they played it.
Yeah, that's.
We don't need to this year. We don't need to play.
Boy who cried wolf there.
Yeah, of course.
But in all seriousness, though, you look at their spine. Okay, their spine's very strong. Okay, you've got Harry Grant. They've got Ponga, DCE, and Munster. Okay, so the spine's very good. But around that, they've picked a couple of players. Yeah, Toya is the obvious one. Only 10 games into his career.
And but
you wouldn't have been much more games into your career. How many games into your career?
No, I was a couple of years.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. You came in 89.
I was, probably about 50 games in, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're lucky to be there. He nearly got dropped once. Go on.
Well, it's interesting. You don't know that story? My very first training session in first grade. I come down, we're down at Blackmore Oval at below Leichhardt there, and I'm a left centre, and I go into dummy half, and we're just doing ball work, and my left to right pass wasn't great. I threw a pie.
Oh, really?
And Warren Ryan just got up me. Anyway, it came across to me again, the eyesight again, so I go into dummy half. This man here, Johnny Elias, pushes me. I go, I got it. So for the rest of that training session, Johnny took the left to rights for me.
Yeah, really? He was going to drop me.
He saved me. He saved my butt. And then
you owe me, mate.
For the next 2 months, myself and James Grant, we drew a little circle on the wall, and we did left to right passes for 20 minutes after training.
Oh, really?
Until it didn't take long. It was good, but I needed it.
Yeah.
But he saved me.
Thank you, Tim.
That's fascinating that you did do that, though.
He did. Oh, that's amazing that I got there with that. I could pass left to right, but it wasn't great.
But you worked on your defense.
Warren Ryan looked at Wayne Pearce one day when they were playing, and he just looked at him. And obviously he was already an international captain of the club, so he couldn't drop him like he could drop you on the first game.
Yeah.
But he looked at him and he said, "Son, you pass like you're loading watermelons on a truck."
You pick it up and you're just so slow.
Yeah, no, it's interesting and how things happen. And Johnny really looked after me, and we're mates from that day on. Johnny looked after me forever.
That's what we do, mate. That's what we do. That's what mates do.
So you go, okay. Let's look at Queensland. Okay, so they've got a very strong spine still. The middles are still strong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've got they've gambled a little bit on the edges with the likes of Toya and whatnot, but they're already craving this underdog status, and they're starting. You can already hear it. They're building. This is another legendary series where they're going to be massive underdogs. They always overestimate how big an underdog they are, but they are massive underdogs. They can't possibly beat New South Wales. Is the narrative they'll put outside. Inside, they'll be saying, "Mate, we've got these guys."
Absolutely.
How did you deal with that with these guys?
Well, see, we didn't have the the media was the paper or the news when I was playing. So you didn't read as much as you do these days. These days, every kid's got his phone.
Yeah,
you can read bad stuff, good stuff about yourself all day, every day. Yeah. And you know what? The best thing is block it out. I know the good players will read it and just laugh and go whatever. The bottom line is there's two great teams. It's state versus state. It's been happening for 45 years now. It's the best game you can play in rugby league. And you know what? Either team could win. They've got to bring their A game on the day. They've got to play as a team, and they've got to do it for their state. And you know what? I don't care what they talk about. Both teams are ready to play.
Yeah, you were there in '95.
Yes.
So, but talk us through that, okay? Let's go to the. Did you fall into the trap a little bit in that series?
No, we didn't. We were okay. Yeah. We didn't underestimate them. We had a normal camp, did everything normal. Things just didn't go our way. You look at that second game down in Melbourne. Freddie put me under the post with 2 minutes to go. We win the game. It was called a forward pass. I've looked at it 20,000 times. It was a perfect pass.
Well, you need today's referees because they don't care about.
They don't care about forward pass. I know. Yeah. So that changes.
Jerry Sutton, where were you when they needed you?
That makes it 1-1. So anyway, but the thing is, we just didn't have our stuff, and they actually, to their credit, they were a pretty ordinary team compared to our team on paper.
They were a very ordinary team. But let's be fair, they were an ordinary team.
They brought their game.
Well, sorry, they were ordinary individuals. They were a great team.
Absolutely, they did. And you know what? If you're just going a little bit soft sometimes, that's what, and in Origin, you get your ass kicked.
Did you? But just talk. But after that, because that's the most famous series victory I would put down. Okay. Certainly for Queensland. I know New South Wales won't like that.
Very unexpected, I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, it was unexpected. It was. Like they lost all the Brisbane players. They lost all the Canberra players out of their side, which was they had enormous. Basically, up until like 94, the Queensland side was made up of Brisbane and Canberra players.
That's right.
And then they lost them all in 95, and they were picking guys basically who had played a few games, who had played very limited first grade, who never represented before. Blokes like Wayne Bartram, who was a terrific club player, but became a real Origin mainstay.
Yeah.
Picked out of the blue, went in there, and just a tough competitor. And full credit to him because he got into that arena.
Yeah.
And just showed he belonged there. Like it wasn't like at first you're like, geez, they're struggling, these poor buggers. And at the time I remember at the time there was also like a discussion going around that maybe they should relent and let the Super League players play because this could embarrass the game. And everyone's saying if New South Wales wins the series 3-0, 40-0 each game, which was a discussion
it was in the cards.
It wasn't a crash. It was like it was seriously that one-sided.
We definitely didn't take them like too easy in our camps now, but I think we didn't play our best football. We didn't I suppose combine the best out there, but they took it to the next level for themselves, and they combined so well together and really caught us napping.
Yeah. So you played your first series 94. I think your last was what, 98 or 95?
First series 92.
92, sorry.
So I decided 92.
And 98 was your last series?
2000.
2000.
So I got the 2-3-0 series.
Yeah. So there you go.
96 was the year after that bad one in 95. We won 3-0 in 96. So we got them back.
Yeah. Was there anything you remember that was different about that 95 team that you played against compared to other Queensland teams?
Well, I not really. I just felt they were guys that we didn't know of. There's a bunch of guys in there we never heard of, and they just stepped up and played.
Yeah. And you didn't have the video back then like you do today where you can really sit there. Like even back then, I don't even think...
I think Tom Raudonikis once tried to put video session for us in Origin, and everyone just went, "Yeah, that was great."
Tom, I can imagine.
Yeah. But it was funny. Tommy was good.
Tommy couldn't do a video to save himself.
Tommy,
he just turned it on and said, "Watch this, boys."
Do you want me to tell you a great story about Tom doing video? They were doing this at West one day when he's coaching West. Anyway, he puts the video in. They crammed into that little room behind the dressing room at
Campbelltown?
Rana Park.
Rana
Park. Anyway, the one it's still the one that they use today. Anyway, he's got, and everyone's sort of got to cram in next to each other and sit where you can sit. And Tom puts the video, the VHS in, turns it on. He starts playing. He's fast forward. He's picking up Steve Menzies. And he's going, oh, right, okay, so Menzies, he likes to run off Cliffy Lyons. So we've got to look for Cliffy Lyons. So when Cliffy Lyons starts to drift, we've got to look. And anyway, he's fast forward a bit, and then he'd go a bit too far, and he'd have to stop and then pause and rewind. Anyway, so the players are all sort of looking at each other like this. And then after about 15 minutes of going through this video, they're all starting to look at each other. And finally, Langmack goes, he's the captain of West, he goes, Tom, we're playing Illawarra this week. Tom goes, oh, fuck, are we? Well, you know, you just got to bash him anyway. Let's just get out there. And he just shut the video down. He shut the video down.
He had a cigarette in his mouth while he was doing the video, playing the video.
There's only one Tommy, mate.
He would have been an experience as an Origin coach.
Well, see, as a kid, he was my hero. I was a Western Suburbs supporter. My uncle was a masseuse. So I used to get into the sheds after games. My cousin was the ball boy. Yeah. And I used to go to the fanatics, the Western Suburbs fanatics after the games. And so Tommy was my hero, like John Donnelly of the boys. I loved them all. And to have Tommy coach me later on was pretty amazing. And it was nice to have your hero when you were a kid become your friend. That was pretty cool.
One thing about that, though, and he was such a good bloke, wasn't he?
Champion.
Yeah. He was. You know what, Tom, there's an old line, don't meet your heroes because they'll only disappoint you. And Tommy...
Quite opposite.
Was the opposite.
Absolutely.
Like Tommy, as large as in life as he was.
Beautiful person.
Right? When you met him, he was even better.
Yeah, no, he was.
He was such a good fella.
Brash, I just want the people to know. I know not 95, Queensland dominated, correct? Mm-hmm. How difficult is it it was Lang Park when you played the Origin, of course. Now it's Suncorp. How difficult is to go to Brisbane, play against the underdogs? That's their mentality, of course. Correct, Paul? Yeah. How daunting is it going to be, Timmy?
Well, no, here's my call. And people always say this. They say, Lang Park, Suncorp, it's the hardest. You know what? It's the total opposite.
Oh, okay.
It's my favourite place to play. You know why? Because the lead up, like I said, you go past the Caxton.
Yeah.
The pump was awesome. The switch was there for you to come on. You get out there, the crowd was loud. And when the crowd wasn't loud, you were winning. And that was awesome.
Keep them silent.
When you heard this crowd not making a noise, and the lesson I learned very early on, my first Origin up there was never stand next to Ben Elias.
Yeah, we started hating him.
I had apples, oranges, bottles of water coming at me. I was like, sorry, Benny, I've got to get away from you, mate.
It's a bit dangerous
I hated Benny. It was so funny. But I love playing up there.
Laurie
That was
Daley
my favourite place
you
to
have
play.
a chat to the players, mate.
He revels in it too, Benny, though,
he
doesn't
loves
he?
it, Paul.
but we all do. Like that's why you play the game. Like you play there because you love to be out in front of the crowd. You want to play the best footy you can, and that is the best place to play it.
Okay. And there is this misunderstanding, to your point, and it's sort of a narrative that people, I think, continue to promote through the media, and everyone sort of buys in. I don't know why, to be honest, about Lang Park being intimidating.
Yes,
and
it's awesome.
It's seriously awesome.
And once you're on the field, like
things change.
It's not like they can come over the fence and do anything to you. It's not like they can iron bar you or anything like that.
I'll tell you the flip side of that.
Most they can do is make noise.
The flip side of that, when I was playing at South,
and we
were playing out of the Olympic Stadium, and there was 2,000 people. That's all you heard. So that was terrible to play at because you had no atmosphere. Whereas up in Lang Park, there's full-on atmosphere. Loved it.
Because the energy, the noise adds to your own energy and adrenaline.
Of course it does.
That's what gets you going. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So a lot of people who don't know Brasher, you played Australian Schoolboys 88, 89. You've picked in Balmain first grade, so you're only 18 years old. As we learned earlier, you nearly got sacked before game one, but by the end of the year, you're playing in the greatest grand final ever. It
was amazing. I got lucky. Obviously, I came into a team of legends. Johnny, one of them. All the players. You look at it. We had a little Canberra team and the Balmain team. There was probably only 5 people on the field that weren't representative players. Yeah. So that was like a test match. That was like an Origin out there. So to be part of that was amazing. But to come into the team I came into, the experience, what I learned about, I was a good trainer anyway, but like David Brooks reiterates that, mate, you don't cut corners. You don't, everyone towed the line. Our senior players were fantastic.
But Tim, sorry, Paul, people forget at 14, because you were telling me, at 14, after school, you used to go to the gym on your own, Tim. Not many kids at 14 would do that.
I used to catch
What made you want to do that? Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to play footy, and I'd played a couple of representatives like Harold Matthews, SU Ball stage, and Harold Matthews at that stage, and I just knew that weights were coming in, how to do it, and I went and had one session with the trainer just to work out how to use all the machines, and then just after training 3 times a week, after school, I'd go catch a train from Seven Hills to Blacktown.
That's amazing.
Do a workout and then go home.
You deserve everything you get, mate. You put from 14, Paul. Well, not many kids do that now.
But you look at that
They're
also.
on their phones today.
Yeah, but you look at that also. That year at the Tigers, we didn't have a weight session as part of our training regime. So I used to come along, and Johnny taught me about drop sets. So most of our team, not all of them, but most of our team would be there an hour before. Yeah. And we Tuesday, Thursday, we'd do weight sessions. And these guys taught me as well.
And you played a Canberra team that just had the gym.
Well, they had the AIS there. AIS trained.
They had some advantage, Paul.
They're a little bit stronger physically than us, I think.
Yes. We won't get into too much detail about that.
Everyone's imagination. But the truth was, though, that was that Tiger side. They made the grand final, beating Canterbury by Canterbury in 88. Yeah. Everyone thought, okay, now's the year, and it was going to be the fairy tale particularly for Wayne Pearce, Benny Elias, Steve Roach, Gary Jack, a couple others, David Brooks, who you spoke of. So there was a lot of old 10-year players there at the Tigers at that time. They'd finally got the chance, and everyone thought that they were going to get that. And to be fair, that Canberra side, although they went on to become greats, Ricky Stewart was just young player who's only early 20s. Laurie Daley was a very young player. Clyde was a young player. Like Clyde was
1 year older than me.
A year older than you. Like you would have come through and played junior footy.
I played against him and I hit him in the SU ball. In the SU ball semi-final, I was playing for Western Suburbs as a West junior. And I hit him at Lidcombe Oval and he broke my shoulder. I said, what is this?
He was a weapon, wasn't he?
Oh, mate.
That was at 16.
Yeah. That was at 16. Oh, my God.
You talked to Blocker about this. There was all these signs on the day of the game that things were going to go wrong. I don't know if you were old enough to probably think of that.
I was just happy to be there.
Yeah, one of the things he talks about was they got brand new jerseys for remember those old days you used to have the jerseys, used to wear them all year. And they came down to just above their knees. They had to cut them because they got the jersey size wrong. They're all these big baggy jerseys.
We all got a size too big, we all got a size too big,
I've still got it.
And saying that, now our jerseys back in those days, how much they were so big.
They were like parachutes,
oh, man. Yeah. You look at them compared to the guys these days, I reckon I would have been at least 10 metres faster.
Yeah, easily.
When you think back to that game, though, what do you have any vivid memories from that grand final?
Yeah, I have a few things. I remember Gary Freeman chipping over the top. I came through, caught it, and mate, Gary Belcher hit me right as I got the ball. Like if he gives me 5 metres, I could step him and could have scored.
Yeah.
But Badge just was right on me when I got it. I look at the Gary Jack at the end when he dropped that bomb.
Yeah.
I was so close, but I was so close to coming because I was a left winger, centre. I was going to come around behind. I just thought about I'll come and cover.
Yeah.
But then I thought, no, it's Gary Jack, and in the end I look at it and go, I wish I'd covered. I might have been able to get that ball instead of. I think coming back to Laurie.
So many things in that game.
Chica.
Yeah.
So, or even been there when Chica stepped back in, I might have been there to tackle him. So, mate, you look at it, like, obviously, Benny Elias, like Mick Neal, anyone else in our team gets that ball through that gap, does not get ankle tapped by Mal.
Yeah.
Only Mick was light enough to, like, hit the ground. Most would have at least slid on and scored. Wayne Pearce dropping the pass and, like, with three of us outside him, he never did that in his career.
Yeah.
But it's just, mate, there's big moments that things happen.
Nerves in a big game.
It wasn't meant to be, obviously, because we had too many things go wrong. But I look at it and I'm still proud that I played in, the best grand final ever as a schoolboy. So I was still in high school and I thought for sure I'm going to play plenty more grand finals.
Yeah.
I played one semi-final the next year, never played a final series again after that.
Really?
That's why Origin was so special to me.
Yeah.
It gave me a chance to play that high level football and actually win a trophy.
That's extraordinary that you sort of, because they fell off the cliff a bit after that, didn't they?
Well, we lost 5 or 6 of our senior players, including Johnny, in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And
just back then, the old, the production line of getting players, the succession plans of having blokes ready to come through. You remember Michael Brown? Michael Brown played behind Benny for 10 years.
Exactly.
And hardly, he would have been a everyday first grader at nearly every other club. But
we had Will Robinson as well, came up, which was great the next year. I played schoolboys with Will, and he obviously got Rookie of the Year the next year. And it's one of those things. You just the timings of it. You get Will in that team. Like Sean Edwards come over from England, but like Will was playing better than Sean.
Yeah.
So
Brashy, magnificent career. You played Origin from Balmain, correct? Did you play? You played Origin from South?
Yeah, South and Cowboys.
And Cowboys.
Yeah.
Paul, that's magnificent.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I mean, South weren't winning any games, really.
But you got to Balmain because your career fell apart at Balmain because of the Super League had come in, and weren't they sort of mucking you around with a deal too?
Yeah. No, well,
end up having to go to South.
It's a misconception. I'd read it on Wikipedia on that and saying, Brasher got too greedy. I didn't get greedy. I was just trying to find out what I was worth on the market. And back in those days, that was forbidden. Whereas now, everyone gets to find out
2 years in advance,
Yeah, exactly. So I was just trying to find what I was worth. I was going to sign with the Tigers, no problem at all. And I'd actually went to the Leichhardt Oval, did a weight session.
Yeah.
I had a 9 o'clock, had to agree by it.
Yeah.
I called them at 9:05 and said, I agree. And they said no. They took it away. And I was shattered. I went and played golf with Marty Moore, our friend Marty Moore. And
so people don't know this, Paul.
I was crying. So 5 minutes late.
Did you have a manager or were you doing this yourself?
No, I had Beavis was a manager. Yeah. And Beavis said, you want me to tell them? I said, no, I'll tell them. Yeah. So I said, I'll tell them. And the weight session went a bit longer and I called them and they said no. So I was shattered.
Did they ever explain that to you? Why?
Well, Danny Monk said it took too long. Danny Monk. Remember Danny Monk?
5 minutes.
Yeah. So I'm like 5 minutes. So I've been here like 9 years and
Danny Monk.
I was filthy. But anyway, It happened, and I actually signed with Canterbury after that, which no one knows.
No, I did.
I did 4 years with Canterbury, but they were still Super League, so I couldn't go there. And Bobby Hagan, he assured me it was going to come back together. And in the meantime, South got wind that I was off contract, and they offered me a good money, and I couldn't say no because. Yeah. So I had to call Bobby and say, Bobby, I can't let this one go.
Yeah,
and Bobby understood, and I went to Souths. That year, Canterbury made the grand final. We got the wooden spoon. Souths.
Mate, that's cruel. Eh?
So, mate, what do you do? Like, you know, it is what it is. But I was never going to leave Balmain. I wasn't greedy. I was just trying to find my worth.
Yeah, and so from South, that would have been interesting. Respectfully, interesting. Probably the way.
Who's the coach there, Brash?
We had Steve Martin, and we sacked him within the first 4 months.
Yeah,
he didn't do a great job.
Okay,
and then we got Tugger, and that was interesting too.
Well, we love Tugger. We had Tugger on the show.
Tugger's got a massive heart, but you know, I just think we had a pretty mismatched team of a couple of factions where we weren't gelling as a team.
Okay.
On paper, we had a pretty good team.
Wild West there at South in those days.
We had a pretty good team on paper. We just did not, gel together.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing because, when we put it together, like we had Julian O'Neill, we had Tricky Trindle, myself, Garlic, Jimmy Smith was playing good at the time.
Just weren't consistent, eh?
Matt Munro was there.
Yeah.
Matty was a great defender, great ball player forward. So, just didn't work.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yep. So how'd you end up going the Cowboys then?
Well, Cowboys, before I played a game at South, I'd already signed with the Cowboys.
But they were a Super League club?
Yeah. They all joined back by then.
Oh, yeah.
So it was pre-season the first year, so 98.
Yep.
Tim Sheens met me at the airport, and, we penned a deal.
So what happened there? Why didn't you stay there?
Why? Because I had injury that was into me. So I did my neck at South. And then redid it up there, and that was I did a knee as well, but in the end, my neck was the issue that I just couldn't risk it. If tackle it goes, I'm in a wheelchair the rest of my life. So I chose to. I was disappointed because I only played 20 games and I had a 4-year contract, and I didn't like letting the club down. And my first year up there at the Cowboys, I played fantastic. I had a great year. I loved living up there. Yeah, and just disappointing the way it happened. And in the end, what do? I had to take that, and then, as you know, from there I went overseas and ended up being a golf caddy, having a bar in Canada, and I had a great time.
Talk us through that.
Talk to us about it.
What prompted you to go? Like, you left the game. A lot of guys stick around. Yeah, every guy that retires these days, if they're any level of player, a rep player, they either want to get into, try to get a job as an assistant coach or in the media somewhere. Yeah. You just took off overseas.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get away and be me again. I was single, so I had nothing to worry about. So I just flew into LA, stayed in a hostel in Venice Beach, bought an old 10-year-old Jeep Cherokee, and I just started driving. I went pretty much down Baja, Mexico in this Jeep, crossed to Colorado, back up, and I was just...
Was this by yourself?
Yeah, by myself. I had to go to bars and just...
Wow.
It was hard because I would stand there because normally, playing footy, they come and say, "Hey, Brash, how you doing?"
Yeah.
So I had to go and talk to people. I had to be me again. Yeah. And it brought me out of my shell. It actually brought me back into, just being an average person, and it was great. Yeah. And then I knew a friend over in Canada and through an ex-girlfriend, and I stayed at his house for a while. He ran the biggest nightclub in town. I learned at the bar at his nightclub, and then we ended up with 3 of us. We decided to buy our own bar. And that was fun. We had plenty of good times up there.
So good. That was in whereabouts in Canada?
That was in Calgary.
So
pretty cold there, man. Oh my God, -34 was the coldest day I had there.
Oh, so Brash, that was the time with that bald head of yours. You got recognised as someone else.
I did. I was.
Tell everyone the story, please. This is the beauty of this one.
We had our first stampede at our bar, so we had a car park next door. So we put tents up and that was where we made a lot of our money in that 10 days of Stampede, which is huge. They call it the biggest outdoor show on earth. It's the richest rodeo in the world now. Yeah.
Wow.
But I got kind of these 2 girls that approached me, and they said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Like, I started talking, and I'm thinking, who do they think I am? And my mate come past and goes, "So you girls have met Jason?" So they thought I was Jason Statham.
Oh no!
And
great movie.
So then my mate who owned the bar, and he put a little over the PA, and we're going to welcome Jason Statham here today. Two girls would not believe that I wasn't Jason Statham. So it took me about 20 minutes, and in the end, I went downstairs to our office, got my wallet, got my license. Yeah. I said, look, I'm not Jason Statham. And they went, oh.
See you later. If that was me, Brasher, I would have played along.
I probably should have played along a bit more, but no, it was quite funny. But I did play along in the accent, obviously Aussie accent. They can't tell Aussie or English. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty funny.
Oh, good memories, mate.
So what was it like running a bar though? Like, and again, cold. You're doing it without any real favours on by trading on your celebrity. You're just dead set. At the coalface, aren't you? They're just doing the work yourself.
Yeah. So the bar wise, like obviously the two guys that I become really good mates with and I live with over there, they run the biggest nightclubs in town. So for a big corporate group, and so I had no issue with that. They taught me what I needed to know. I got to know each part of the bar, so I worked in a bit of all the areas, so I could fill in here and there. I didn't work full time there. We just only did the promotion stuff. Worked for like the Stampede, getting corporates booked in for nights. But then, as you guys know, also I got into caddying because
golf caddying.
So I became a golf caddy.
How did that start?
Well, I bumped into Gavin Coles in LA. And I saw that he was playing in East LA when I was coming back from Vegas in my old Jeep. Yeah. And so I popped in to see him. I'm coming this course. No one's there. It's Corn Ferry Tour. Yeah. And here he was. As soon as I got that hole, he was coming into that hole. Just timing. Ridiculous. Yeah. And his caddy, Adam King, was Adam Scott's best mate, mad Tiger supporter. Mm. So Colesy makes it to the PGA Tour the next year, doesn't take the caddy. I'd bought the bar by then, when the caddy being good mates. Yeah. I said, come and work my bar. So he came to my bar. Then the Corn Ferry Tour comes to Calgary. He jumps on Wade Ormsby's bag. Wade then takes him to European Q School. Yeah. So all the Aussies must have been talking to each other, all the Aussie golfers at Q School. Yeah. So Terry Price, I knew Terry Price through a few pro-ams and that. He came second in Q School. He said, tell Brasher to give me a call. So that's how it happened, from Adam King going over there with Wade. Yeah. All the Aussies talking, and then I call Pricey, and he goes, what are you doing next year? I said, I've got a bar, but I don't have to be here. Yeah. He said, want to come to Europe? I said, sweet. Oh, my God. I met him in Malaysia, and he had his best year ever. Like, we came 50th in the money, and we should have won 3 times if he got that putter working. Yeah. But geez, he could flush the ball. And he taught me how to caddy. And then from there, I got back to the bar, and I went down the US and did with Tim Wilkinson and got in the PGA Tour.
How long did you do that for?
All up, it was 04 to 2011 was my last caddy job with Craig Parry in Australia and New Zealand. And so all up 7 years, but 4 main years where I did full years.
How did you pick up on how to do the job? Because it's not as simple as carrying the bags around. Like, there's a lot of work involved, isn't there?
Mate, it's psych. It's knowing when to talk, when not to talk, what to say, when to say it. It's really? Very much, but obviously you got to do the numbers as well. You got to know the wind, but you also got to know your player. That's number one. Is so
you're like a coach. Are you like a coach?
Absolutely, you're a side coach. There's times you got to just let him go. There's times you got to pull him in and say, "Hey, come mate, you'll be right." Yeah. But I always say, "What's cutting like?" I said, "Mate, the good days are good. The bad days are terrible." Yeah. And they all have bad days.
Why is that? Like,
well, he's not in sync. It's just he's just missing shots. No shot is the right number, so he's not getting the right number. It's just, you have those bad days where everything just, and he mightn't shoot a bad number, but he's just, these guys expect to shoot under par every round.
Yeah. How much of that weight do you carry when he has a bad day?
It's tough because I'm used to playing football, being able to control a game, as opposed to all I do is give him a number, and if he wants to ask me what club, I'll give him my opinion, but it's always his decision. Yeah. So, and then you got to sit there and watch and just hope. So it's tough. It is tough. But in saying that, it was fun to be inside the ropes. We had a couple of chances to win. I never won a tournament. Got a couple of seconds, but pretty cool feeling coming down the stretch, knowing you got to get that adrenaline going again.
Yeah. And did they have did you have a gallery you would sort of walk down?
Absolutely. Like we had some big events. I caddied the Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass. That was awesome. Got to hit in the pracky round, the caddy shot. Oh, yeah? I was pretty hungover, so I was pretty happy to get it on the green. But that was pretty cool. We had about 5,000 people watching there. That was nice.
Oh, mate, I would have taken out an eye if that was me.
No, it was good
Lebanese don't play golf, Paul.
Yeah, that's a fair call too, John.
Or surf.
So you've gone through all that, mate. the change from rugby league, like I said, you're happy to get away from the game. What brought that out in you? Like, why did you want to? I suppose I would say escape the game.
Yeah.
But then also to just go overseas and forge this other career outside of rugby league. And
well, I had no expectation. I went over there with just wanted to become myself again, and I had this funny feeling, when I was just traveling by myself, that something good was going to happen. And the bar happened and the caddying happened, and I had a great time. I had an awesome 6 years overseas. And, I just had that, when you just have that feeling that things are going to fall into place. I didn't push anything anywhere. I just took it easy. And if something happened, I knew that there was going to be bad things happen. I knew there was going to be some good things happen. I just took it all in my stride and just went with the flow.
When you're driving around in the car, the Jeep,
Red Bull was the best.
How much?
Kept me awake.
Like all that solitude. Like, how did that work for you?
Well, crazy. Back in those days, we had the Discman with the little cassette into the thing, and I had music playing. I love driving. I can drive. I love driving.
But being alone and going days, all day without seeing people, without talking to people.
Yeah, you got lonely sometimes.
Yeah. Did it? People talk about if your development as a person, that solitude, how it can actually be quite good for you. And
yes.
Yeah. How it,
absolutely.
And if you can learn to be comfortable alone, then you pretty much can, mentally get anywhere you need. Like, did you find, was it a chore early? Was it tough early, or was it easy for you? Or how did you mentally, like, what was it like for you?
I definitely had moments. I remember in Denver, Colorado, I was in the hostel I was staying in, and I had a bit of anxiety about being alone, and but I was already a month in by this stage, and I was like, but then I just went out and met a couple of people at the bar, said hi, and just started chatting. Then we went to the hostel and got to meet some people. So I definitely had those moments, but in the end, I've always been okay with my own space.
So
I didn't mind being alone, but I definitely did have those moments. But I just talked myself out of those moments by saying, you know what, it's just in your head. Just go and meet someone. Go and talk to somebody.
Do you think it sort of brought growth out in you?
Absolutely. Because other than that, I was rugby league. That's all I did for 30 years of my life.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, isn't it? Because a lot of people, particularly rugby league players, and it's one of the real problems in the game. They get to the end of their careers, and all of a sudden, particularly those guys that get to retirement day in their 30s, they get to that stage where it is, okay, hang on, what do I do now? I've been in an environment where I've come straight from high school into footy. I'm now 32, 33. And for every day of my life, basically, I've been told where to be, what to wear, when to eat, what to do. And then suddenly you get to the end of it all, and one, you've lost your wage. The wage is gone. Okay. You've got to find another way to make money. Two, you're in this void where, well, where do I go? What do I do? Like, and you've got to almost retrain yourself.
Yeah, no, it's tough, but what I like these days is, back in our day, you couldn't do it. You can do a degree over 10 years now. You can do it online. You can do it, in person.
And clubs encourage it too.
They encourage it. So
back then they didn't.
We didn't have that back then.
No.
You had to go to university, be in the classroom, and do it. So we couldn't do both.
The other thing too, clubs back then were, mate, if you want to be a professional footballer, you be a professional footballer.
Absolutely.
You don't be a half-time footballer, part-time footballer and part-time student.
Yeah, no. So I like how that works now. The guys, and most guys come out with maybe a degree in whatever they enjoy. And of course, if you have a 10, 12-year career, 14-year career, you can even change courses in between that, because you might go, I did like this, but I actually like this more. Yeah. So most guys come out with some kind of accreditation, and they know something about what they like to do the rest of their life. Yeah. Whereas we retired, like you said, wages dropped. What am I going to do? Where do I go? And I was single. Luckily, I was single and didn't have any connections, so I could go and do that trip. But if I had a wife and kids, well, then that's already made up. You stay with the wife and kids, you get a job, whatever job you get, and you do it. But, it's I felt I was fortunate to be able to do that and get away and become me again. Yeah.
And were there doubts though about how do I start again in life here? Like, how do I Well, where do I go from here?
Like I said before, I was lucky. I came into a team. I came into of Johnny and the boys and Benny and that. They taught me about investing and property. So I was lucky enough. I was a bit of a tight ass too. Not quite Gary Jack.
I've heard that.
No
one can be Gary Jack.
I heard it as a photo finish.
Yeah, no.
No.
It's all the fullbacks at Balmain, isn't it? Keith Barnes, Gary Jack.
Yeah, Jack.
But so they taught me and they told me to invest well. I invested okay.
Yeah.
So I was in a decent position.
Yeah.
That certainly helped.
But you still have to find something to do, like something to occupy yourself, some way to make money going forward.
I like playing golf.
We all want to retire
Magnificent career, Paul.
Yeah, it was fun.
Magnificent.
Yeah. And so what are you doing now?
I do accounts for a building supply company, Saddington's in Newcastle. I back my hours off because I got kids one in primary school, one just started high school, so I make sure I'm home for the kids in the afternoon.
Yep.
And we've got obviously sport. And
how did you end up in Newcastle?
Met a girl up at Southwest Rocks when I came back.
Story.
And I was with the Coleman brothers, who was coaching the Waratahs last year. They both with the Wildfires this year.
Yeah.
I met them in Calgary, coming out of a nightclub in Calgary. I was with Julian O'Neill. They bailed us up, and then I'm in this bar in Southwest Rocks, and these two walk in. I'm like, I know those guys.
Yeah.
And they had 4 girls with them. And I said, they come up and said hi, and I said, mate, any of those girls single? And ended up being my wife.
Rest is history.
Hey, if only all ended so well.
How lucky you are, Tim, eh?
No, mate, absolutely. Yes, she is.
Yeah. And so she's a Newcastle girl? So that's how you settled there?
Yeah. No, we did Sydney, Newcastle for a year, and I had a place up at Nelson Bay, and I said, you know what? I will get out of Sydney. I want to go up there, and we moved up there.
Yeah. So you're looking like you're going all right.
No, it's all right, mate. Life's good. It still has challenges like everyone.
You got every dollar. You got everything.
Every cent.
Every cent. You got everything but your hair.
Yeah, lost the hair, mate. That went.
Brash, sorry, go on, Paul.
No, go, Johnny.
Well, I do it every week. I've got to do it because you're a former player or current. Funniest player of all the clubs you've been to, who was the funniest?
Oh, mate, it's between you and Nat Woods. And when you tour together, it's both of you.
Oh, thank you, Tim. That's great. Okay. The pest. Biggest pest.
Oh, biggest pest. Oh, Martin Bella. Paul Langmack.
North Sydney. Paul Langmack, yeah?
Yeah, and Terry Hill.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
mate, on the field. Yeah, Langmack and Terry Hill on the field. Oh.
The biggest pest.
Oh, the talk.
Okay.
Papawati was up there too, don't worry.
And this one's my favourite. Besides yourself, who had an obsession with the mirror? Love looking at themselves in the mirror. Well, all the clubs and all the players you've played
Well, there is
with.
a guy who's one of my best mates. His name is Mirrors, Marty Moore.
Marty Moore.
So Balmain, you remember Balmain? We had our showers, and there was that one mirror.
Darren Sandler wasn't bad. Go on.
Darren Sandler, yeah. And he just had to lose his hair too.
Yeah.
And Marty would put himself in front of that mirror every time.
Really?
Make sure that when he had a shower, he could turn around and...
Paul, it's amazing when someone had an obsession with looking in the mirror, could identify someone else looking in the mirror. Brasher was very good. Yeah, Brasher was very good.
That's their competition.
That's their competition,
I'm not sure you remember this story, but my first time off the bench on the first grade, before I started the first grade, I was at Penrith Park. Saturday game.
Yeah.
I snuck my brush out onto the bench.
You're joking.
So when they said brush, you're
you
on.
had the long hair.
I did that before I ran on.
Can you imagine if there was more? Imagine it was now, Paul. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I gave it a quick brush before I went on.
Oh,
got the mullet going.
That's amazing.
Mate, brush on the bench.
Brush. Oh, that's a story on its own. That is a story on its own.
Oh, mate. Look, I want to say, mate, I appreciate you coming in. Thanks for coming along and having a chat. I know you got plenty more stories, mate, so we'll get you back to tell a few more when the time comes. You got a bit more time to spend with us. I really appreciate it.
Mate, absolutely, guys. Appreciate it.
We love you.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tim.
Thanks,
we love
Kenny.
you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.